everyone, Paul SM. Welcome to part 1 of our Alpha Models 124th Audi RS6 video build. So, Alpha Models was very kind to send me this kit free of charge, so thank you guys for that. I was eager to build this, and the colour you're going to see today, as it was recommended to me last time by Mike, so thank you, mate. As you know, we built the RS4 not so long ago, the beautiful blue one. This colour was recommended to me, and I kind of kicked myself, like, damn, why didn't I do it in that colour? Luckily, this was released, so we're going to do it in that colour today. So today we're going to get it all prepped, primed, decaled, panel line washed, 2K'd in preparation for the next step, which will be the interior. So make sure you stick around with us. Go and check out Alpha Models' website. I'll put a link in the description down below. And if you've been thinking about trying all these kits, have a look at some of the reviews I've done lately. There's more coming as well. And maybe try one. They're good kits. I find them really interesting to build. They use some really good subjects as well. So let's get on with the build after this message. Hey everyone, please subscribe to the channel, click the bell notifications, get notified of our latest videos, give the video a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and leave a comment. I do read and appreciate every comment you guys and girls leave behind. I may not reply to them all, but they are all appreciated. And there's a link in the description of the video that takes you to a big long list of all handy videos and a lot of the products I use in my videos. You now have the chance to support the video content creation by using Patreon or the PayPal me link in the description down below. All the videos will always remain free to watch. This is just your chance to help support the videos. Okay then, so here we go. Standard start one of my resin car builds. We've got the prep of the body for primer. So lately I've been rescribing the panel lines just a little bit. They're quite often really well defined on these kits, but I'm finding lately just adding a little bit more definition in some of the areas can help. And you may often find a little piece of maybe the odd bit of resin in the panel line that could do with taking out. So just a quick rescribe. I've got one of the Holly scribers that we used to sell on UMP. These are great, very controllable, and yeah, very minimal slippage. So definitely my favourite scriber. Obviously, you can use whichever one you favour to use. We need to mount the body to get it ready. So as you've seen before, my favourite way is using some of these 3M pads strategically placed on areas of the body that you won't see underneath. These are unbelievably sticky, so they work really well. And then we'll take all the pads off, the backs off, use some tongue depressors to bridge across, like so, being careful not to apply too much pressure to the body. We don't want to break it. And then using my empty burnish fluid bottle, which has got some plaster of Paris in, mixed with water, which is set and has gone nice and heavy at the bottom. It's very heavy at the bottom with some excess water in as well. And then we'll stick that to our tongue depressors, and that gives us a nice, stable, secure, not only handle, but base where it's not going to fall over, because that's the worst thing that could happen. We don't want this to fall over mid-2K or fall off mid-paint. With the calamities we've had lately over painting, we definitely want to be careful with this one. Door handles can stay on their mounting points, and we just hold that with a crocodile clip. And then we're going to go over with our Tamiya 3000 grit sponge and just lightly scuff all the body up in preparation for primer. So I find this is an important step. A lot of people are going to tell you don't need to do it, but by roughing up the surface, you add thousands of micro porous abrasions to the body, and this gives the primer something else to stick to. I never have any problems with paint lifting, see it quite often, and that'll be down to my preparation for primer. So if you want to go to this length, it's up to you. I would recommend it because it only takes a couple of minutes to do, and all we're doing with very little pressure, barely any at all, we're going around and we're just taking the shine off the resin so we get a nice flat surface. And like I say, all those micro abrasions in the surface will then hold the primer better. And then we can come in, clean it all off with our toothbrush and give it a degrease with some UMP airbrush cleaner. So like I say, it's a couple of minutes work, and then peace of mind knowing that when you're unmasking things, which there can be a bit of masking on these kits, you're not going to have any dramas pulling paint off. And this is the most important paint stage primer. It's what gives us all our base for subsequent coats. So time taken here, well spent in my opinion. Like I say, just take your time, work your way around the body until you're happy. I basically go around till the shine's gone. We've got a nice consistent finish to the whole body. What you don't want to do is reprofile any parts, so don't go too heavy on any edges or corners or any raised bits. just take your time and go around nice and slow. Once you've done that, we've got our old Mickey Mouse toothbrush into all the panel lines, all the recesses, and we're going to dust out any excess sanding dust. Again, another important step in my opinion. Just go around, get it all out. We'll also blow down with the airbrush before we actually paint, so anything that is in there we will blow away. And then we get a nice clean bit of kitchen paper, some U&P airbrush cleaner. You don't need a lot at all. And we're going to go around and degrease it. So this way, we've prepared the surface for primer by lightly sanding it. We've got all the dust off with our toothbrush, and then we're going to degrease it and get any mold release agents, fingerprints, or anything else on the surface that may interfere with our primer. And that's it then. We're giving the primer the best chance we can to stay on the body. Now, like plastic kits, the primer may bond to the plastic, being lacquer. With resin, it doesn't quite work like that. So I think this key stage is quite important. Don't forget the wheel arches as well, because we will be painting those. So a quick run under with the cloth or tissue, wherever you're using, is well worth it. In the spray booth, we've got our anti-static brush from Tamiya. We're going to run over the body. Now, as before, the window's shut. The booth's been on for a good 5-10 minutes beforehand. We've got a nice clean booth. We've wetted down as well with our spray bottle. I'm just going around and giving it all a proper little dust. We've got our Tamiya fine surface primer. It's been decanted. It's been allowed to off-gas for 6-7 hours. It's been thinned with Tamiya lacquer thinner and retarder. We've got our 0.35 apex at about 16 psi, and we're going to put down 3 coats of primer. So don't go too heavy on the first one. The day I did this was a really nice warm day, so the primer was drying really quick. So this was a very quick priming session for me. If you're watching live on the day, I showed this live via the webcam. And it was a nice quick priming session. So don't go mad on the first coat, just build it up. Don't go for a full coat straight away. Get all the important areas, all the recesses. I've sped this up because it's too long a footage to look at. Just getting all those recesses and areas and the corners and the vents and everywhere. There's quite a lot on these modern cars, so you need to be quite thorough. And then just get nice even coats. Most important thing with this is when you're doing your passes with the airbrush, go on and off the air, off the model. So go on paint and air just before you hit the model, and go past it, come off the air, back on with air. The air is the more important thing. Back on the air, then the paint before you come on. And that way you'll avoid any paint splatters or any boogers landing on your paint surface. And again, it all adds to a better finish of paint in the end. And there we go. Nicely primed there. Don't forget our door handles. You can also see that I've started to strain my paint as well. So the primer got strained for a 190 micron strainer, basically. We've got some zero paints, Iron Apple bronze, brown, I've been calling it. Is it Ipanina? Bronze. I've been driving Andy mad saying this lately, I think, but I've been calling it Iron Apple brown because it's easier for me to say. Beautiful colour I saw on a video, which I shared on Starring a Machine Facebook group a while back. Absolutely stunning on this car. So I sourced it from Zero Paint. It's actually a Volkswagen Audi group colour. And got it here. Now you can see the pigment on the bottom of the bottle. It does separate very quickly. So we're giving this an extra thorough mix up to make sure we get all that beautiful pigment in the paint. So get the Badger paint mixer in. We've let it run. We've also run it down the bottom of the bottle as well. And again, we're going to anti-static brush the body. I have flatted this as well. We've gone over it with our wet 3000 Tamiya sponge just to flat it back again to give us the best possible finish we can. And then we're going to apply several coats of this. Now, if we're on plastic kit, we'd have to make sure we do ultra thin coats so we don't get any reactions with the plastic. Because we're on resin, we don't need to be as careful, but I still go nice and thin, not hosing it on, and just build it up nice and slow. And again, get all those angles, recesses. We want to get in the wheel arches, at least the very front part of the wheel arches anyway. We're going to alternate between coats from side to side to up and down passes. And I think this probably got about 7-8 light coats in the end, building it up over probably the course of an hour. We're using our 0.35 apex, 16 psi again, and it goes down beautiful. Lovely colour. This will come alive at the end with the 2K. Bear with me. I know a lot of people have been a fan of this colour, but trust me, wait till you see it at the end. It totally changes how it looks. But yeah, going down flawlessly. The pigments are lovely, really nice and small, not too big. I have been noticing lately, sadly, with some of the gravity paints, the pigments are rather large. So yes, Zero seems to have improved their paints significantly over the past couple of years, so happier to use the actual metallics now. I sped this up because this was a good 10 minutes worth of footage, but I thought I'd show you the whole first coat in full just so you can see what it looks like. So there we go, that's our first coat down. I think we're on to about our third or fourth coat now. Just going over it, slowly building it up. You can see that colour really starting to shine through now. Like I say, bear with me on the colour because it does change at the end of the 2K. We're just building up slow. Like I say, it's probably about the fourth coat. We're going side to side on one pass, up and down on the next, just to ensure we get even coverage and get all those grills, door shuts, windows, the lot everywhere, making sure we get nice even coverage. But like you see, I'm not putting wet coats on, I'm not hosing the paint on, we're just building up nice and slowly, getting a nice even coverage everywhere. Like I say, time spent here pays off in dividends at the end of the paint job. So take your time, don't be in too much of a rush, and try and enjoy it. This is my favourite part of the modelling process. So here we go again. This is probably the 7th or 8th coat now. So it's not really starting to change now. That's about as dark as it's going to go. So this is where I just concentrate on getting even coverage. And as you see, even if I do toot my own horn, it is a beautiful paint job. I bet someone was falling asleep there and just scared the living crap out of them. It's lovely. It's absolutely smooth as silk. No flaws in it whatsoever. The metallic pigments in the paint are minuscule. They're absolutely beautiful. And it's a lovely colour. It really has gone down well. Obviously, the camera changes the colour a little bit to where I see by eye. It's a little bit darker to my eye. But you'll see that once it's clear coated, it will show itself through. But lovely colour on there. So once we get some carbon on it and some black accents, it'll break it up and it'll really come alive. It's a beautiful car, the RS6, and it's a big beast as well. It really is an absolute monster. But you can see the colour there. Absolutely beautiful, I think. And there we go. I would say that's probably 8 coats of paint now. Just checking for even coverage, and obviously the door handles have been done with every single coat as well to make sure we get the colour match absolutely spot on. Masking tapes, we've got the 2, 1 and 3mm. That's the order they're in on my bench. Thin masking tapes, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to mask off all the windows, going to mask off the roof rails, and we're going to mask off the rear bumper for the diffuser. Just to make it easier later on for carboning. So we're going to have to go around all the windows and mask them all now. Now, some of the window parts are gloss, so these are going to need doing before we 2K anyway. And I like to do the inside of the glass work as well, so we don't see any colour showing through when we put the windows in later, because they go from the outside. On my earlier attempts on the single Porsche and the Aventador, you could see the body colour through the glass. So we're just going to go around and follow right to the edge of all the windows. It's quite a lot of work. It's a couple of hours work to do this. I did it on a live stream last week at some point. And then we can spray it all in black, or we missed a surface of 1500 black. And then when we gloss it, we'll end up with a nice gloss black trim, and the windows are blacked as well. So just take your time, go around. It's tedious and boring, but it's just basically following the outlines of the windows, the roof rails, and that rear diffuser as well. So again, just take your time. I was in a live stream chatting away to the guys in the Hangouts, chatting away to you lot watching as well. So it does kind of while away tedious jobs like this. If not, get some tunes on, put your feet up if you can, depending on how you sit and model. And yeah, just get on with it. It's one of those inevitable jobs. Once you've got the thin tape around the actual part you're trying to mask, I had to put a thicker part of tape on. So we've got 1mm around the windows, and then I'm coming in with 3mm to meet up with it. And then we'll hit it later with a thicker Tamiya tape and probably some cling film to marry up. That way you're not wasting loads of big tape. Using the thinner tape means you don't waste all the bigger tape, which is obviously more expensive. And like I said, we'll come at the end with some cling film and mask off all the larger areas as well. So it's tedious, but this is where we end up, probably about an hour or so later. So nearly there, all the windows are done. Still got the roof rails to do and that rear display. Probably not an hour, there's probably about 45 minutes. This is probably about an hour now. And we've infilled it all with tape where we can. And all we need to do now is infill the larger areas with cling film after we do this rear diffuser. So the carbon on this car thankfully comes pre-cut. Apart from where we're going to do around the roof spoiler and the side window on the roof, we're going to do that ourselves. So we've got pre-cut carbon, which actually turned out really good in the end. But we're going to paint it black anyway, because I don't think the carbon quite reaches underneath everywhere, and that way it won't look odd. So cling film we've cut into sections, we've put some Tamiya 10mm tape on, and we've married it up to where we're already masked. Make sure it's fully burnished down, because we don't want any gaps, and make sure every area that we don't want painting is masked off, because getting bleed through off bare paint is difficult. You have to sand it, whereas if it's on 2K, you can normally get it off with a bit of UMP airbrush cleaner. So like I said, we're going to use Mr. Surfacer 1500 black. While I was here in the spray booth, I thought I'll take the opportunity to paint the mirrors as well, because these are going to be carboned later on. So I thought I'll just paint them black and give the decals something to grip to. So for our apex, thin about 70% with Mr. Hobby Leveling Thinner. Absolutely reeks, but it is a good primer. I just wish Tamiya would make a black primer in their spray cans. And then our beautifully masked Audi RS6. We're going to put down several very light coats of the Mr. Surfacer black over all the areas we want to paint. So, like I say, we've got pre-cut carbon for the side skirts, the very front lip splitter, the rear diffuser, and I'm going to carbon that rear roof spoiler like we did on the RS4, and the window surrounds on the boot lid as well. Now the roof rails I carboned on the RS4. On this I'm going to leave them black because it'll match the window trim, which is going to be gloss black, and it won't look out of place then. So that was my decision to do. Well, after a couple of coats, as you can see, we're nicely covered. Coverage is really good off the Mr. Surfacer, I have to admit. It does take a little bit of building up to begin with, but once you get a couple of coats down, the coverage is really good, and it does dry nice and smooth. What took hours to do takes literally minutes or seconds to do. Be careful on masking things. Don't go too mad, too vigorous. And when you are masking, make sure you detack all your tape. Put it on the back of your hand or your forehead. I know forehead sounds crazy, but it is a good way of detacking tape. Just make sure you don't, A, have any neighbours looking through the window while you're doing it, because trust me, you look like a lunatic. And B, don't forget it's there and pop to the shops. Not done that. I've answered the door with masking tape stuck to my forehead, but yeah, you just act like nothing's wrong and carry on. Own it. If you make a mistake like that, just own it. Make them think you're a lunatic. Like I say, hours of work takes literally seconds to do. And there we go. And just be careful with your tweezers too. Don't scratch your paint. That was a mistake we made on the Ferrari. We caught the paint on the Ferrari. And there we go. Beautifully masked. Absolutely lovely. And even just adding that black highlight just really brings the colour alive. See how it's darkened up over here? Under these different lights, it's a different colour. Yeah, it's the lights in my paint booth. They do tend to lighten everything. You can see the colour that it truly is now. And it is a beautiful colour. Absolutely beautiful. Just wiping off any residue of masking tape and a quick inspection all round. We've got no bleed through whatsoever. It's all looking really good. Very, very happy with that. Literally, I was thinking, thank God that went okay. Because I was a bit nervous on this model after wrecking the Porsche and the screw up with the Ferrari. I was a little bit nervous. So I grabbed the carbon decals. These come with the kit. There's not a huge amount of them, but they are cut perfectly to fit. I'm just weighing up where they need to go. So we've got the 2 for the rear diffuser at the back either side, 1 for the centre section. We've got the 2 side skirts at the bottom and the front lip spoiler at the middle bit. And then there's 2 pieces to go either side of the window. And on the front bumper grills, we've got a couple of pieces to add later on, but we're not going to do those today. So like I say, they come pre-cut, and it's a really nice touch. So Alpha models, if you're watching, keep doing that with your kits. Add the pre-cut carbon. It saves a lot of messing about. So into the water for 10-15 seconds, onto the model, get it lined up where you want it, hit it with your decal solutions, move it around if you need to. This is just UMP normal at the minute. I did find strong was best to use. Like I say, just line everything up, hit it with decal solutions, and you can hit it with some heat as well, should you wish. But yeah, cut perfectly. So much easier than messing around trying to lay on carbon and cut it. So yeah, definitely keep doing this, Alpha models, if you're watching. It makes life so much easier, and it is a welcome addition to the kits. This front little lip spoiler, a little bit difficult to carbon because of the size of it. It was quite tricky. It needed a little bit of fettling to get it to sit exactly where I wanted. But once I got it, it was good. And then we hit it with the decal solutions on the brush, being careful not to move it. And just work it around and set it in place. In all honesty, probably some of the best carbon decals I've used here. They reacted really well to the solutions and to heat. Conformed really well. You could manipulate them well. Very, very good. Very good. I would recommend the Hobby Design carbon sheets. And these rear bits. So these rear sections are handed. So there's a left and right hand side. It's a little cutout for where it folds around. So just get off the backing sheet, maneuver it so it fits on the side where you need it. So it'll line up just there. And as it goes over the top, there's a little cutout for the center bar. So just pay attention and you'll get that lined up. And once you're happy, hit it with the decal solution. I've gone straight to strong this time because that seems to be the one that was working the best. And what I'm doing is I'm just hitting with the solutions, letting it sit whilst making sure it's in the right place. You can just see me moving it around. There we go. Sadly, the brush does move it. And then a little bit of heat worked wonders on these. Don't go mad with the heat. We don't want to melt the resin. Because trust me, resin melts quicker than you think. But we just want to get it all in place. And then with a cotton bud, we can just push it home where it needs to be. And burnish down the edges where we require. So decal's a bit of an art. You'll pick it up as you go. The more you do, the better you'll get. And the carbon is a little bit of a necessary evil, but it is good stuff, and it does look really good once it's down. Like I say, these are some of the best carbon decals I've ever used. They reacted really good to UMP strong and absolutely phenomenal to heat. Just hit it with the heat. You should see this decal just fold over. There we go. Like that, really easy. Grab our brush, a little bit of solutions, and then just wipe it over. Job done. That easy and that quick. Really fuss free. And don't be afraid to use your finger either. The finger's a good tool on decal. As long as you're confident it's set and it's in place, your finger will smooth out some wrinkles. And like I say, we've got 2 surrounds for the windows at the front on the A-pillars. Just line these right up to the edge of the A-pillar. And set them in place. There we go. Now we've got some Tamiya 12682 carbon twill weave carbon decal. And we're going to do that boot spoiler. So I've cut off a piece bigger than required. So you could make a template. I think I made a template on the RS4. On this one I decided to do it differently. Get it where you want. Make sure you've got enough of an overhang front and back. And move it around as required. Can be a little bit tricky to do, so don't be afraid to pick it back up and move it if you need to. There we go. Once you're happy, get a clean cotton bud. And just burnish it down, get rid of all the moisture from underneath. And what we'll do is burnish the edges down into those panel lines before we get this to set in place. And then we can cut it, remove the excess before it sticks, because trust me, if it sticks, it's a nightmare to get off. So we don't want to hit it with any decal solutions just yet if we can help it, but we still need to burnish it down into the panel line. So a bit of a tricky one, this. I think sometimes the template can be a little bit easier. There we go. Once we're happy that it's burnished down, we're going to get a brand new blade and our knife and fold the panel lines, just lightly score it down. And around the corner and the other piece as well. It's simple, but it's very easy to screw up at the same time, so take your time. It really is. Patience is required. Once you get one piece off, burnish down that piece. You can see that I've just moved the carbon a touch, so we pop that back like so, and then we can hit it with some solutions, and then we'll cut the edges of the well as well at the same time and make sure they're all burnished down to the panel lines, and then we concentrate and get rid of any wrinkles or bubbles and making sure it's all worked right to the front leading edge. So apply a little bit more decal solution this time. There we go. And then we just need to fold those edges under the spoiler. Nice and simple, job done. A little bit of heat as well helps. And we've done exactly the same to the side pieces as well. We just lined it up, cut them, and I'm just going around with a moist cotton bud now that I definitely didn't lick. And wiping off any excess decal solution. Because if you do leave the decal solutions to dry, it can burn into the paint a little bit because they are acidic. That's the whole idea of them. They do melt decals. Everything's dried now for a good 4 or 5 hours, and we've got our Tamiya panel line wash. I'm going to go straight for black, unthinned out the bottle. Because I've not thinned it, I've left it as thick as I do out the bottle. The capillary action is not quite as good, so you're going to have to touch it a few more times to get it to go. Now, I didn't thin it because it's a dark colour, and I wanted the darker panel line wash to really show through on this. So if I thinned it, I'll probably have to add multiple coats. So I opted to not thin it this time. That's a case of going around to all the recessed panel lines and just hitting it with the wash. We let it dry. Come back with a bit of tissue and a cotton bud moistened with some odorless mineral spirits. I use Winsor & Newton Sansador and wipe off any excess wash where required. And what that does, it just brings alive the door shuts. Any panel lines, it just adds a little bit of depth to the model. Nobody likes to do it. Some people like to do it after clear coat. I prefer to do it now, get it out of the way. I think it's quite an important stage to do. But yeah, with not thinning it, the capillary action is definitely not as good as it usually is. So if you leave that for a good half an hour, if you often catch it just before it fully dries, you can wipe it off and then use a bit of tissue. Just be careful of your decals, they are quite freshly applied. With the heat on there and all the solutions, they should be well and truly set in place. But still take a bit of care around them. Don't go too mad. And what I like to do is get the cotton bud first, wipe off the excess, and then get the dry tissue and just wipe off any left behind. And you'll see me working around, just wipe it, like so. And then we grab our tissue and wipe it over too. So that's all done now. We're going to carbon the wing mirrors now. So last RS6, I managed to carbon the mirrors in one go. So we're going to try it again here. So cut off a piece of Tamiya carbon film just bigger than the mirror. Well, quite a bit bigger than the mirror. Hit it with UMP strong all over it. Put it to one side to sit for a couple of minutes, 5 minutes or so. Then come back, and I found the best way to do it is get your decal tweezers, any creases, just pull them apart slightly, and then keep working it with the brush. Hit it with some more UMP decal solution strong, leave it a couple more minutes, and then just keep slowly working it with the brush and folding it over. Now, it might take you a few goes. I think this one took me 2. The other one I did in 1 go. But just keep working it and folding over the edges, and if you're lucky, like I was here, you should end up crease-free, with no blemishes, and a perfectly carboned mirror. So it takes a bit of a trick to do, but I'm starting to get the knack of this. And then if we hit it with a little bit of heat as well, we can get it fully set in place. And obviously repeat that for the other side too. and jobs are good. We have carbon mirrors, and these can be 2K'd later on with the body. So a little bit of heat. Just don't go mad with the heat. Don't keep it in one spot. It's on the lowest setting this, and just keep going around to the set in place. And then there we go. There's the second one done as well now. So 2 decaled wing mirrors ready to go. I'll come in closer just so you can see what we're doing. And there we go. They look good. All the panel lines have recessed in. We've got no creases, no bubbles, no tears. It works really well. It's good. The Tamiya decal film is very, very good. I would normally use Scale Motorsport. I have none at the minute. I was looking through my supplies the other day, and I have none of the twill weave at all. I've got a few of the composite colours, which are going on the Lancia, but I have none of the normal stuff. So hopefully we can use that on another build. And like I say, a little bit of heat, and you can see it all conformed where it needs to go. Spray booth, and it is a 2K time. So we're going to show the 2K process. So we start off as usual, wetting the booth. So I've stripped the booth of everything, all the bottles of thinner, any paint bottles. It's completely clear. We've wiped it all down. We've got a fresh filter in the spray booth, fresh kitchen paper down. We've wetted it, the window's shut, the booth's been running for a good 5 or 10 minutes, and we're going to mix our 2K. So the gravity is a 3 to 1 to 1 mix. So that means for every 3 parts of clear, you need 1 part of activator and then 1 part of thinner. So we've got 6 mil of clear in there. So we add 2 mil of the activator in with pipette. So we measure the clear using the medicine cup. We use the pipette to measure the activator. So we use this pipette for the activator, get it all in, make sure the pipette's empty, and give it a good mix up. That pipette is then thrown away forever and never reused. Don't use that for your thinner because you'll contaminate the thinner. And then with the thinner, fresh pipette, 2 mil of thinner, mix that up. So mix the activator first with the clear to get the chemical reaction started, and then mix the thinner later on, just now. Give it a good mix. It'll go cloudy, so just keep mixing it till it goes nice and clear. And again, throw the pipette, and we'll never use that again. Some pipettes you can reuse. With 2K, I wouldn't at all. You could try and clean them. It's just not worth it. Throw them away. Don't use them again. We've got another medicine cup, our 190 micron strainer, and we're going to strain it through, like so. What I do is I put that cup in the corner. The strainer still holds a little bit of 2K. So it's going to drip, so I just pop it in the corner to drip of its own free will. We get a little bit of extra 2K at the end if we need it. Anti-static brush over everywhere. Have a good inspection before you get to this stage. Make sure you haven't missed any wash or anything anyway, because it's very easy to miss the wash and end up with 2K over a spot of wash you've missed. So take your time and go around. Beautiful colour. Carbon looks great. The black work looks great. And we're going to 2K it now. So we've got Ultimate Apex. This is my 2K specific brush. It's a 0.3. We're about 20 psi on this one. We're going to put a tack coat down. So this isn't going to be a wet coat at all. This is just going to be a light coat of clear. And this will dry over 10 minutes and flash off and go really nice and sticky. Now, people keep asking me in the comments on the 2K, how far back do I have the airbrush pulled? And it's not a set measurement. I'm doing it by eye. I'm just judging how much paint is needed. It varies from car to car. I've got a bit of distance between me and the car, so I get a nice fan pattern or spray pattern. And I couldn't tell you how far back I'm doing it. I'm doing it by touch and by eye and just gauging it that way with the muscle memory. Sped this up again, and we're going to go around and show the tack coat. A little bit of hair there, so you can grab at this stage and the second coat. After that, I wouldn't touch any hairs. I'd leave them be. But all we're doing here is laying down a base coat. And what that will do is not only will put a protective coat down over decals. 2K is pretty safe with decals. I've never really had any issues with it melting decals at all. But more so, it's a tack coat for the subsequent wet coats. So this coat goes down. It's semi-wet. It's not really a gloss coat, but you can see it does add a bit of a sheen. After 10 minutes of off-gassing, flashing off, this coat will go ultra sticky. Your finger would stick to it if you pushed it in, which you don't want to. And then when we come back with our second wet coat, it helps limit the runs, not yourself, on the paint. Because the paint's extra sticky, it sticks to it better. That's the idea of doing it. So nice and thorough, getting all those recesses and gaps and everywhere, all the bottom of the sills. And of course we do the wing mirrors and the mirrors at the same time too. I've got my box to the left hand side there, so I just switch everything round, pop it in the box so it's safe from dust. And the wing mirrors again, like I say, dust coat. Let's then put the box for 10 minutes to off gas. And then we come back for our second coat. So this time, this is going to be a little bit of a slower pass with a little bit more clear coat. And we're going to put down a semi-wet coat. So more than a tack coat, this will add a bit more of a deeper shine to it. It'll still have orange peel in it. But again, the idea of this is, it's a second coat, it'll flash off, it'll go ultra sticky, and it allows us to put our wet coat on at the end. Now pay attention on this, that those windows in the centre as well need to be gloss. So make sure you spray them properly. We've got a little bit of hair there, so I'm grabbing my tweezers just to grab it. So if you grab it, you'll see it leaves an imperfection in the clear. Just go over it again lightly, and it'll self-level in. Again, I sped this up. I'm just going to go around and apply a nice, even second wet coat everywhere. We're not hosing it on, trying to get it. This will just make it glossier than the first time. And again, make sure you go those recesses, the angles. And like I say, if you do spot a hair, you can grab it now. And just work your way around nice and slow. Now, I do have my full face respirator on. I'm double gloved. I've got my arms covered. The booth is on. It's a very good booth. I have a Benchvent A300S. So I've got good ventilation, good dust removal, a good respirator on. Don't breathe this stuff in. It is pretty nasty. It does have long-term health issues. So definitely be wary of that. If you're not too sure about using it, don't use it. It's as simple as that. Another little hair to get rid of. I've got a few dust spots in this today. I'm not sure why. Maybe we're moving things around in the cave a bit much and disturb things. But you can see now we've got a clear coat, but it's orange peely. And this is exactly what we want. It's exactly the coat you want on your second pass. Not perfect. And then, like I say, we'll leave this to one side to off gas for 10 minutes again. And yeah, we can come back with our third coat. Now, I say third coat. I've been doing things different lately. I've not been doing a third coat per se. I've been doing another wet coat, semi-wet coat, leaving it for a couple of minutes, and then looking at it again, because I'm finding the 2K goes on a little bit thinner then. It's definitely working well. So this is the third coat now. So I technically say I'm putting 4 coats down, but these are probably as heavy as that second coat and not the full wet coat I would usually do. So this should be near perfect after this coat. So what I'll do is I'll put it back in the box for a couple of minutes and then take it back out to self-levels, because that's the beauty of 2K, it does self-level. And then if we notice any areas you just need a little bit more, we can go over it lightly and give it a little dust over again. So it's just the way I've been doing it lately, and it's worked really well on the last 3 or 4 models I've built. And it's how I'm going to do it. So technically I do 4 now. So we do a tack coat, 2 semi-wet coats, and then a final coat for any imperfections. Because remember with 2K, what you've got when you're finished, what you see to your eye when you're done, is how it's going to dry. So if you have orange peel, you're probably going to have orange peel in it when it dries. And like I said, I do get a few dust spots in this. It's just one of those things. It's just tough. But what we want to get rid of is the orange peel. And it's a fine line between getting rid of the orange peel and getting runs in the paint. And the runs in the paint is you put too much clear down, it collects, it runs down the side and forms in a big blob of clear. Now it is removable. It's a pain in the backside to do. So we want to avoid runs at all costs, and we want to avoid orange peel because that saves time in polishing later. But you can see how good the clear coat is. Look, it's not quite perfect. There's a bit of orange peel there. But if I leave that for a minute or so, it will self-level out a little bit more. And that way, when we come back to put our fourth coat on, it won't need as much paint. And I'm just finding it's not looking as thick later on. Of course, we come back and do the wing mirrors and the door handles as well each time. Just remember, these are smaller parts. They don't need as much paint. So don't go hosing it on too much. Don't go too mad. Just nice and slow. Exactly the same process as the body itself. We're just looking for that flawless, cleared look in all the angles. There we go. Another couple of minutes passed. We've got the body back out. Let's have a look. So very nearly there. Look, it is nice. It's just not quite there. So we've got the trigger pulled barely back at all. There's not a lot of paint going down. It'll look like a lot, but there's not that much going down. And we're just giving it a light 2K over, and this should do us then. There you go. Look, beautiful. And look how that paint colour's darkened as well. It looks absolutely stunning. You see on the bonnet and the roof, you just see the slight orange peel, the way my lights aren't optically clear. So we're just going to go around and apply this light coat. That will self-level out. And again, if you leave it a minute or so, you can double check. Well, for me, this is working much better lately. It's giving me a much nicer clear coat without putting too much clear down. So I'm using less clear coat. We're getting less thick paint jobs. You see, look how much clearer that is now. And that will now self-level over the next few minutes, and it will go completely optically clear. And that's exactly what we want. No runs, no orange peel. Absolutely beautiful colour. And of course, once this is dry, we've got to flat it and polish it all anyway. But we've got a nice clear coat there. Just having a little look, a little inspection. So just go all around, use the light angles to check. I'm looking at every corner. If it needs a little bit like that, we can give it another light go over. Don't be afraid to put a little bit more on. As long as you don't go mad. It's not too bad. But what a beautiful colour. I'm so glad I chose this colour. I think it was Mike out the chat. If you're watching, say hello, Mike. He put me onto this colour with the RS4, but I'd already painted it, so it was too late. So I literally said if they release an RS6, which I knew they were, I'll do it in this colour. And lo and behold, a week or so later, they release it and Alpha Model sends it me. So there we go, Mike. This one's for you, buddy. Thank you for the recommendation of the colour. It's absolutely beautiful. It really is a very, very pretty colour. And I'm happy I chose it. So there we go. Like I say, just having a quick inspection all the way around, checking all the bottoms of the doors, bottoms of the bumpers, everywhere. I don't want to see any orange peel at all. All the windows, everywhere. You see I'm angling it towards the light so I can see. You can see how it's self-leveled on the roof now as well. And it will self-level to a degree as well. Back into the container where it can sit for a good few hours, left unhindered. And just a quick inspection of the door mirrors and the handles. And they look great as well. So we're about 3 hours later now, and this is dust dry. It's not touch dry, but it's dust dry. You can see how nice and clear that clear is. It's lovely. Absolutely beautiful. Beautiful colour as well. It completely changes the colour. Gives it a lot more depth. Like I say, we've got dust on the roof and the bonnet and a couple of spots on the side. But we'll flat that back with 12,000 micro mesh later on. And give it a good polish up with the UMP Solutions system. And it'll look great. Carbon work looks great. The paint's beautiful. And yeah, very happy with this. It's absolutely stunning. It really is a really pretty colour on a very aggressive looking sports estate car, touring car, sedan. Wherever you guys, station wagon you call them over there, wagons. I forget what you Americans call them. I think it is wagons, isn't it? To us in the UK, they're estate cars. I think to Europeans, they're tourings. But lovely. So they came out well. Carbon on the wing mirrors came out really well as well. Don't know if it'll show, it might do. There you go. That came out well. Door handles look good. And I've got some pictures for you to peruse as well. So that's it. After the calamity of the Ferrari, it's nice to get this thing painted and looking half decent. And hopefully we won't have any more calamities if my head's in the game. And we stay on point with what we're doing. So there we are. That's where we're at today. We're back with part 2 soon, where we're going to deal with all probably the interior. Thinking of grey interior on this. We did black on the RS4, but I'm thinking of grey on this one. And yeah, we can crack on with it. But next, we're going to go back to the Lancia. Anyway, let's go back to maybe some final thoughts. Right then, there we go. That's where we're at today. So happy with that colour. Absolutely beautiful colour. The zero paints have definitely improved, 100%. The pigments are minute in that thing. Absolutely tiny. Colour's great. And obviously on resin you get no issues anyway. On plastic, as long as you do a nice thin coat, you won't get any real problems either. So just be wary of yeah, spraying over plastic, over resin, takes different techniques, but I'm glad that colour, I chose it. And the 2Ks turned out really well, as did all the carbon work. So happy this one's gone. Like I said in the video, after the calamity of the Ferrari, it's nice to get this one done drama-free. So that's going to sit and dry for a while now. I've got a few videos to do. This one, I've got a bench update to do. Some tidying up in here to do. A few things have changed in here. And then I'm going to get back to the Lancia. That is the plan anyway. We'll start working on the interior and getting things sorted on that. Because it's been a big break while we're waiting for stuff. But we're ready to rock and roll again. It seems to be a bench update first. So there we go. Thanks for watching today. Hope you enjoyed that. And like I say, if you thought about doing an Alpha models, or you have, let me know in the comments down below. What do you think of them? A lot of people have been commenting that they're overpriced, and I'll address that. They're not cheap, I'll give you that. And yes, there's no engine in them, but quite a lot of the Tammys don't come with an engine. And, you know, an engine doesn't sway a build for me. It doesn't always mean, yes, I'm going to build that over this. I can understand where people come from, because the engines are fun to build. But a lot of people have made a point that, you know, Tammy should make this kit, it'd be cheaper. And it probably would, but for a new tool Tammy of one of these kits, with all the licensing, probably around the £50–60 mark. By the time you add all the aftermarket that comes with these kits, the photo headsets, very comprehensive photo headsets, that's going to take it well over £100. When you factor in the really high quality resin, which it is unbelievably high quality, it's probably better quality than some of the plastic kits. I don't think the cost is that bad, really. I think when they don't have an engine, and I've said before, they should be a little bit cheaper, maybe 20% cheaper than they are. But the engines are always a selling point to me. I quite enjoy doing a curbside from time to time, whereas other times I like to do an engine. So yeah, price is subjective to what you want to do, and a lot of these subjects aren't available from other manufacturers. So that's the way I look at it. So yeah, I've got some of these for free. I have, but I bought most of them myself. So I can say from the point of view of buying them that I still think they are worth the money, and they're great fun to build as well. But that's up to you to do, because I might not want to spend 120 quid on a Tammy 1/32 scale aircraft kit when I could buy a Revell 1/32 scale aircraft kit for 40 quid. So price is relative to what you perceive as expensive and or worth it, isn't it? That's my view on it anyway. And everyone's entitled to their own view, which is the beauty of this hobby. So there we go. As always, if you want to support the channel and the videos, there's a Patreon me link down below. You become a patron, you get 2-week early access on all the videos. You get an exclusive monthly live stream where you can win prizes. Yes, the prizes are coming back. And you also get the chance to vote on things, and knowing that you're supporting, keeping these videos going for future, and keeping kits coming in for me to review and build. I know it might seem a bit petty, but without your support I couldn't do that, and we couldn't keep adding content. So it is an important thing. There's also PayPal me and a Buy Me Coffee link down there too, and there's links to everything ISM related down below, and Styling and Machining too. An email address to get in touch with me, and my stash is there should you wish to have a peruse through my kits. So there we go. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, click the bell notification to get notified of all the latest videos. Give the video a thumbs up and leave a comment. Love reading all your comments. They're always sparing on with the builds. And the question for today, did I make the right decision on this colour? Because a few people don't seem to like it, some do. Did I make the right decision on this colour? And if not, what colour would you do yours in? Let me know down below. There we are. Thanks for watching today, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.